Welcome back to the series on club coaching. This week we are tackling getting on track and growing pains. And on this cold, snowy for some of you, Thursday evening, just before our TLI and our district officer training, I really appreciate seeing some area governors on this call, some people in Vernon and all parts of our district. We've got such a broad range of people in different places that we need to connect with, and being able to do webinars is an incredible opportunity for us to all talk to each other. So if this is your first time being live on one of these webinars, do not be shy. Use that chat area a lot, connect with each other. I'll keep my eye on it, and if I see anything I need to address or a question I need to answer, I'll try and get to it. If I miss it, just keep asking it later when I take a breath. You are muted, so you won't be able to speak. And for those of you who have phoned in tonight, unfortunately you won't see the visuals. I'll try to be as descriptive as I can, but you will get the recording later and you'll see the visuals and the audio together. The first webinar of this series, we tackled the first steps, what makes a good coach, how to start, how to get buy-in, how to keep that buy-in, how to deal with people who act counterproductively, attracting guests, and one great way to turn guests into members. And last week we dealt with dealing with conflict, the steps to take when a member is truly the problem, engaging the absent or the uncommitted to help the club thrive, helping club officers without being a nag or turning them off, and keeping your credibility high with the team so they continue to value your help. If you missed either of those two recordings, go back and watch them. If you don't have the recordings, there's my email address. Send me a quick note. I did try to get them to everyone, but I'm hearing from some people that they didn't receive them. So just send me a note. I will answer all the emails that come my way. I'm not buried anymore in area governor reports, so I will definitely get to them. This week we are tackling getting on track and growing pains, and the key things that we're going to cover today are how to keep momentum, what to do with newly empowered members who have very unique ideas of what needs to happen next, exit interviews and other best practices, being aware of 3 club killers, and grooming your future leaders. And just as a note, next week we are going to tackle how to attract and retain new members. So be sure to register for that one. So first of all, you've created an environment which people want to be a part of. And you've got guests coming and they're signing up. So your club is beginning to grow. You want to keep that momentum going. If you're like me, you've been in a club that started growing and you made a couple steps forward. You got maybe 3, 4 members, and then the next dues renewal period, 3 or 4 members dropped off or worse. And you wonder, what's going on? What's happening? We finally got more bodies to share the work with, and everybody's leaving. It's really, really tough at the very start to get that momentum going. There's a real shift that takes place. The symptoms of a healthy and growing club, when you think of symptoms, they're the things that you feel. So when you feel that the room is warm, welcoming, when guests tell you, wow, it was easy to find, when that guest-to-member system is working, when you feel that it's really on track, when members communicate and they know each other, and you really feel that it's a group of friends, not just a group of club members, when members are getting help to achieve their personal goals and they feel that they're actually moving forward, and when meetings meet the expectations of members and of guests that come into the club, some of them somewhat knowledgeable about Toastmasters, some of them having no concept of what Toastmasters is. The signs of a healthy and growing club. This is what people see from the outside looking in. They see members attending all meetings or sending regrets. And I'm impressed by those clubs that I go to where the regrets are actually announced by the sergeant at arms right at the beginning. They know what's going on with their members, and they never leave going, wonder where Wendy is. I haven't seen her for the last couple of weeks. Everyone has their manuals with them. Members are prepared for each role. Feedback is encouraging, and it offers specific next steps, not just general, but encouraging to do better. Meetings start and end on time. All parts of the meeting are made into learning opportunities, and that means that they're not only geared to help members, but they're also geared to help anybody visiting the club. It's easy to think that, oh, everybody knows this stuff, everybody knows the timer role, they know the grammarian role, I don't have to explain it. But really, for somebody new coming in, they're wondering what all the clapping is about. So making sure that the evaluations aren't directed to one person, but they are a learning opportunity for everybody in the room, and all people are addressed. Just little things like that that make the outsider feel welcome and feel like this is a group that they actually want to be part of. Schedules for upcoming roles are full. That's sometimes hard to do. Special events and celebrations are being planned at all times. And that's, by celebrations, I even mean celebrating somebody's competent communicator, or maybe the nickel award if they're halfway through their competent communicator, to kind of nudge them and keep them going, keep them motivated. All of those celebrations mean something, and they let the newer member or the outsider see that, hey, this is a place where people are achieving their personal goals and getting ahead. Other Toastmasters events around the district are attended. You learn so much from your club environment. You learn so much more by stepping out of it, and there's lots of opportunities to grow and to learn. And I've gone into clubs where they have members that have been there 5, 6, 7 years, and they've never ventured outside their club. You want to create that healthy, growing club. You want to follow some best practices, and these are signs of a club that's following best practices. Guests come back is probably the biggest sign that you are a healthy and growing club. If people who don't have to come back, then you've got a good thing coming, or a good thing going on, sorry. Sharing the load without squishing people is going to help you create an environment that is growing and thriving. When you're in a club that's been struggling, a lot of people have been doing double duty. Maybe you haven't had one single meeting where you weren't doing at least one major role. And by the time a new person gets on board and up to speed, you just want to take a step back and not be involved anymore. You need a break. And I completely understand that feeling. However, you still need to work together as a team. It's not that one person needs to carry the club all the time, and then when they're exhausted, somebody needs to grab that entire load. The idea when you're carrying the load is to find ways to offload bits of it and encourage people to step up and seize the opportunity. And I know from some of your questions that you found that very challenging.
If that's all
this is the skill of delegation, and it is one of the tougher leadership skills to master. So if you're feeling that way, you are not alone, and you are completely normal. We're going to go through a few things that will help. So there are 3 things that every human being on the planet wants. They want meaningful work. They want autonomy, and that is to be in control of their own life. And they want to be loved or cared for. So it's no different in your club or in the workplace or in their home environment. They are still a human being, and they still need all 3 things. If you're going to be a club that's relevant to them and keeps them coming back, to ensure that you are a club that provides meaningful work for your team, that allows them autonomy in their role, and that allows them to feel that people actually care about them, that they actually matter, you need to constantly be taking the temperature of the club. And that means doing the moments of truth. People come, people go, and every 6 months you do a dues renewal period. There's changes in the membership, so best practices are that you do the Moments of Truth every 6 months. You should be doing it once in January to kind of get a sense of where you are halfway through the year. So coming up, get ready to do that Moments of Truth if you haven't done it already in December. And then you take that Moments of Truth and you compare it with your club success plan. And having been in many clubs over the years, I have seen that very few groups actually do the complete club success plan. If you've never seen it, you can go onto the website, you can download it for free. It's a PDF. There's all kinds of questions like how you're going to communicate with each other, how you're going to handle conflict, what you're going to do in different situations, what values you're going to uphold. All of these nitty-gritty little details, they come before the DCP program, the points that we actually measure you by, those 10 points. That comes at the very end of that entire plan. So there's a lot to go through as a team, and it does take time, but it is a very rewarding process. If you do it, you can guarantee that you will provide a team environment that really, truly does provide meaningful work, allow people autonomy, and let people know that they are cared for. And just so you know, that is done not only at the club level, but there's an area success plan that's very similar, a division success plan, again, that's similar. And we had to do a district success plan that was the exact same way, where we, together with our team, and made decisions about how we were going to go forward. In the back of the club success plan are a number of tools that will help you through your Toastmasters year. So if you do nothing else, download it simply for this list. It's a great list to refer to. These are great items to go through one by one and pull out what is going to make the greatest difference in your club. Find somebody to take that on and present it to the team so that the entire club gets to benefit from these. Part of sharing the load without squishing people is to strategize about the things that you're going to do next, your next best steps, and then get the buy-in from the team. The best way to get buy-in from a group of people is to get them involved in the planning process. So you may hatch a plan, and you may have an idea of how it's going to go, but then you take it to the team with a few first steps already in place, and you present it. If they choose to go forward with it, so if they second it, it becomes the property of the club. If they vote on it, they take ownership of it, and then they form a committee to do the work. It's no longer yours, it's theirs. That is the greatest way to get an entire team involved. Many hands make light work, and not only that, but they will come up with different options to make it even better than you had planned it. Get everyone involved in one part of making the club successful. And you want to focus on where their strengths are. Make sure that they're utilizing their strengths so they feel good about the contribution that they're making and they feel that they're competent.
We've worked
and
in the live
also
events.
Pay attention to what most interests them. So for instance, I know that several people on my team could do just about anything I gave them. But I still gave them a number of options.
Hi, I'm
and
Jason
I asked them
what
was going to benefit them the most. Think of where they wanted to be in the upcoming year and what is it that they really want to learn. Pick the role that's going to feed what they need for the future. So they're completely interested and engaged in the work right now. And I am seeing them go above and beyond and leaps and bounds. They have really jumped in and taken ownership of their role rather than taking it on and then sitting on it, maybe thinking about it, shuffling it to the back.
We've worked in the live events and production industries for over 40
Put new members
years
to use
and have worked
immediately.
with hundreds
Now I know
of
we want to
presenters
shield and
all
guard
over
our
the
new
world.
members because maybe
In this
we
video,
feel that
we've worked
this is
in
a
the
huge
live
burden
events
to
and
bear.
production industries for over
Somebody
40
coming into
years
the club doesn't know
and
any
have worked
better.
with hundreds of
So the
presenters
greatest
all over the
initiation
world.
and the greatest way to lock them into that team spirit and make them feel that they're actually part of this team is to assign them something. And again, you want to ask them what their strengths are. Utilize their strengths. Find some way to fit them into a project that's going to work for them and they're going to be highly successful in. And then also pay attention to their interests. So this involves asking them questions and really listening to the answers, not just saying, oh, this needs to be done, here, you can do it. Keep the main thing the main thing. We're a learning organization, and we start with a competent communicator manual and go through a number of advanced manuals on the communication track. We start with a competent leader manual, and then we go through a number of leadership projects to eventually end up as a distinguished Toastmaster. That's the goal. And then once distinguished, we continue to learn and we continue to grow, and especially continuing our growth through giving back to others. It's amazing the opportunities that Toastmasters provides to learn. You will never, ever, ever run out of them, no matter how good a speaker or no matter how good a leader you become. So keep the main thing the main thing. Focus on the fact that we're all here to learn better communication skills. If we're not communicating well in our team, we should be curious about how we can make that better. And also, we are where leaders are made. So if people aren't stepping up and leading, we need to be curious about what is it that people feel that they're lacking? Why are they not stepping up into leadership roles? How can we boost their leadership skills so that they do feel confident in taking on these opportunities? Provide a motivational environment. And there's lots of ways that you can do this, starting with the branding so that when they step in, they really get a sense of this is something different. The name tags and the little placards at everybody's table. Those are so that a newcomer feels welcome and they don't feel completely lost. Like, oh, this group, they all know each other and they're a tight group and I'm on the outside and I'm just a nobody and my tag says, hello, my name is, and nobody else has one. So do pay attention to those little details. They matter. Shaking hands with people and looking in the eye, greeting them as another human being that matters, even though you've never met them before. Don't just focus on the people that you know that you're happy to see every week. And I see a note here, Dilma, our VP Ed, is looking for mentors. Ah, yes. There you go. If you want to mentor somebody in your club, and there's nobody looking for a mentor, you can always mentor somebody outside the club. That's another way. As a DTM, you should be looking for opportunities to give back, and that will continue to grow you in your leadership and communication skills. So when somebody walks into an environment and they see individual growth happening, when they see that there's this Toastmasters magazine, and so all these extra copies are there, and they can take that, and members get this delivered to their door every month. That's crazy. For how much? And when they get lovely coffee and goodies at the break, they feel that this is a really special group. It's just those little touches, and it takes teamwork to put them together, but those little touches matter, and they will keep your club moving forward. Having a new member package that you can hand somebody when they say yes to the opportunity, giving them or emailing them the PDF of the icebreaker project so that they've got something to work on, and assigning them a mentor right away so that they don't chicken out, so that they do take those first tough steps for some people of getting involved. So share the load without squishing people. Acknowledge that people want to do meaningful work that has purpose, isn't just for the sake of doing work, that they want to be in control of their learning and in control of their life and in control of the way that they choose to do things. So welcome different ideas that people bring to the table when they step up to take a role, and be interested and curious about it, and then give them feedback on what you like about it, what distracted you, and maybe, you know, how it could improve in the future, but what you like best about them taking this initiative. And show people that you care, that they actually matter. Part of that is when somebody doesn't show up for a meeting, somebody follow up. Where were they? If they didn't send regrets, what's going on? You know, were they caught in traffic maybe, or is there a family emergency? Do they need help? Because we're not just a group of learners. We're a group of human beings that get together and really do get to know each other. What do you do with those newly empowered members who have very unique ideas of what needs to happen next? And that's the key, needs. So they may get it in their head that that things could improve, and they come forward with these ideas. Now, you want to embrace the enthusiasm. There are some people who have just really great ideas that are hatching nonstop, and they can't turn that off. It's just part of who they are. You don't want to shut that down. At the same time, they don't know very much yet. So maybe some of their ideas are unfounded. And it's very easy to quickly say, oh, no, we don't do that because, and then they feel a little bit foolish and naive, and they might feel that, you know, maybe their ideas aren't valued. So rather than jump in and set them on the straight and narrow path, embrace this as an opportunity to learn. And the way you do this is, first of all, you need to have a solid base. So starting off, you need to know your club's results of the latest moments of truth. Everyone should have a copy of that. It should be freely shared. Know your club success plan. And I would encourage clubs to share that. It shouldn't be some great secret locked in a vault. It actually should be something that, that members embrace as well as executive team. So they should know what values and what principles the executive team has chosen to uphold, and buy into that, or at least help them to uphold those. So know your club success plan. Know what goals your club is planning to achieve that year, and that you have to stay on track with those goals. Then you need to suspend judgment. So you're going to get curious, not jump to conclusions. Just observe and take the person for face value. Don't read deeper into anything that they are putting out there, no matter what they say, no matter what they do. Just simply observe and actively listen. Active listening is asking questions and then asking clarifying questions, and continuing to ask those clarifying questions until you can repeat what that person has said back to you in a way, in your own words, and capture the essence of what they really truly are trying to get across. So when somebody is new to Toastmasters and they don't have all the background, you're not coming from the same base of knowledge or the same worldview. You can't assume that you understand where they're coming from right off the bat. Clarify, 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 and then when you understand where they're coming from, then you can give them the right information that will help them make better suggestions. And also, they won't be offended when you say, well, you know, you have an interesting idea, but given that we're doing this and this, and that we have to achieve these goals, and here are the Toastmasters values, and we need to get you through this and this and this, we're probably not going to be able to implement that idea, at least not now. And they'll appreciate that. So they don't feel that they've been slighted. They don't feel that they're not valued. but they do now, they've learned something, they feel smarter, and they feel appreciated. And they feel that you've treated them very honorably. So they will treat you with respect, and they'll be more likely to listen in the future and maybe ask a few questions before they come forward saying that we need to do things a certain way. Survey your team. There's informal surveys and there is formal surveys. Informal is just walking around and talking to people. You should be able to have candid conversations with anybody in your club and not get hurt. Just ask them questions, ask them what they think about things, ask them what ideas they have, and just gauge, just get the temperature in general from members on your team, what matters to them and what they feel about the direction that the club is going. And then you'll probably form a hypothesis of what needs to happen. That's when you do a formal survey and you ask some very specific questions to get some very direct answers that will help you to move the club forward in the direction that everybody wants to go. And that's the important thing. It's not your direction as either the club coach or the club president or somebody on the leadership team. It is the club's direction. They decide where they want to go. They decide what they want to do. And if you pull them in a direction that they don't want to go, then all of a sudden you're not going to have anybody following. People will cease to find the meetings relevant and they'll stop showing up. And that's when you have problems. So constantly survey your team, doing those informal surveys all the time, and then formal ones often. People will appreciate having the input. Invite ideas at business meetings. So you start off the business meeting by sharing what the club actually talked about at the executive meeting, what decisions were made. You bring forward things for a vote, but you do invite any new business. And you also do invite members to submit any new business for your upcoming executive meeting for the club officers to discuss. All major decisions should be voted on by the club. They shouldn't be made behind closed doors by the club officer team. You may think, oh, nobody wants to be involved in that process. Everybody appreciates being involved in the process. Get them involved, and you will be amazed at what happens. So you have that parliamentary procedure. You do vote. And like I said, when you put forward a motion, when it's seconded, it no longer belongs to you. And then the club votes on it. They make the decision, and you live with it. It's the will of the people. Set targets and evaluate. So if you're going forward with a new initiative and people, they put forward a motion, someone seconds it, the team votes on it, even if you think it's a harebrained idea and it's not going to work, it is your duty to not stand in the way of the will of the people. So you do help them to set targets, and you will help them evaluate what happened, what worked, what didn't work, and how it could be improved in the future, and celebrate what you like best about the initiative. And hey, the biggest thing, everybody learns from it, so it's a win, even from that point of view. And Marie pointed out that the minutes of the executive team should be sent out to the members and read at the next meeting. Yes, they shouldn't just be read at the next meeting. The club members shouldn't just be informed verbally of what went on. They should actually get a copy of what was discussed. And that's an important point. In that executive meeting, if something shouldn't make it into the minutes, then you have to ask yourself, is this something for us really to discuss? If it is an important point to be discussed off the record, does more investigation need to happen before we really discuss it? So there's some sensitive matters that might come up that you've got to be careful about what goes in the minutes. but you do not want to create an us and them feeling in your club. You don't want the inner circle to have all these secrets that they're withholding from the team. Because, hey, if there's an elephant in the room, everybody knows it. The key is to address that elephant quickly and effectively in the right way for the right reasons, and we covered that in the last webinar. So you should never be afraid to invite people into your club officer meetings. If you do have to have a sensitive discussion, you can have that outside that meeting. And going on with those sensitive discussions that will come up as you are growing, people will leave the team. Either they're exhausted and they need a break, or they feel that the club is changing and they no longer feel like they're part of it, or maybe somebody said something that set them off. For some reason, they have decided that their time, their energy, their resources are better used someplace else other than your club. And when that happens, you have to be curious. Never assume. So if you haven't already got the exit interviews in place, here are some questions that you want to ask. First of all, you start out by asking them if it's okay. If you just ask them a few quick questions, because in order for the team to grow, they need to understand why people leave and a little bit more about the experience that they had while they were there. And I can't think of anybody who would say no to that, because everybody does want to have some say and express their thoughts. And everybody has a good reason for leaving. So why did you join? What goals did you set? Did you achieve them? Why not if they didn't achieve them? Or if they did achieve them, what's your next goal? Now, if they're leaving because they don't feel that their next goal can be met there or that they've learned enough, that gives you actually an opportunity to get them back. Because if you're knowledgeable about the education program in Toastmasters, you know that they can continue getting what they need if they continue in the program. And, you know, maybe after the discussion, your club isn't the best place for them. Maybe they need to go to an advanced club, but at least you continue to serve them as a fellow team member. And they will always think kindly of you and refer the club to others. If you rejoin Toastmasters, would you automatically choose this club? Why? You want to know why they would come back to your club, and that what they've said is not just fluff, but you want to know what your club is doing right, and it will also tell you a little bit about, you know, gauge whether they're likely to come back, and if not, why not? And then you point out that this is true to the Toastmasters way. Our club needs feedback to grow, and ask them for the sandwich. What works that we should do more of? What distracts from our true purpose? What could we improve? And then what do you like best about this club? Take all of those answers. Those are gold. You will learn more from exit interviews than you will at any other time. You'll learn more from this than you will from moments of truth, probably. So this is an important practice to start applying. And now's a great time. You've just had a number of people drop off your list that didn't renew in October. Get curious. Why did they leave? And don't assume that somebody else has talked to them and somebody else knows. Because I've had members of the club say, oh, she's just too busy with work. And I knew otherwise. So they don't when somebody leaves, they may give a pat answer to somebody, but unless they've asked these in-depth questions, they will not know the truth. So you have to have a formal process that you put everybody through if you really truly want to capture the truth. Other best practices that you can take action on that's going to make the club really thrive. Annual goal setting for individuals and quarterly goal reviews. Not only are you setting goals for the team to achieve in the Distinguished Club program, but each individual needs to have a goal that they want to accomplish by the end of that year. And then do a process where you check in with the team quarterly. Okay, bring out your goals. What have you achieved? What do you still have to achieve? You should be about a quarter of the way there. Okay, adjust your action plan. What do you need to do? What do you need to adjust in what you're doing in Toastmasters in order to achieve your personal goals that you want to achieve through this club? And you express to them that this is important to the club, because if the club isn't helping them grow, then they may decide not to renew their membership. And they will be scrambling to find more members. So please help the club and get on top of your goals for you. Make sure that you are getting what you need from this club. And if you aren't, then we'll find ways together for you to reach out and get what you need. Open goal tracking. So have that report card. I know some people say they don't do the DCP program. They don't want everyone's goals on display because they say that they don't want anyone to feel bad. And my suggestion is that those people are one of two things. They are either incredibly sensitive to other people, overly sensitive. I've had people phone me after a discussion all worried that I took something that they said the wrong way. And I'm thinking, what? Like, really? You know, they don't know me very well. And so there are some people that are overly sensitive to what other people might take the wrong way. And that's good. You want people to care, but you do need to assure them that by open goal tracking, it allows people to really set goals for themselves that are going to help them make best use of the program. They don't all have to participate in it, and they don't need to feel bad about it, but it's for them personally to see where they're at and to celebrate where the other members are at, the ones that are forging ahead and wanting to actually achieve something through this program. Open business meetings, and you can set them up as learning opportunities. Oops, I just realized my power's not plugged in. Okay, fix that. The business meetings, as I said, they should cover material that anyone from the club can be in on and listen to. And know that you've only got that position in the club officer team for a year. If you aren't letting people in on this process, it's a big mystery and they don't know if they want to be part of it. So use the business meetings as learning opportunities. Do express to the club, you are welcome to join us. And when they do show up, don't exclude them, welcome them. And make sure that if there's anything they might not have understood, make sure you touch base with them afterwards and ask them, was there anything there that you didn't understand or that you have questions on? Performance leadership projects. Like I said, you will never stop learning in this organization. I am upset that I did my high performance leadership project as the last thing to get my DTM. I had everything else. That was the last thing I had to get. And when I went through it, I went, what a great process. We should be using this for all of our initiatives that we do in our club. Otherwise, how do you know you're doing them properly? You can't not do them properly if you're following the high performance leadership project process. So order a bunch of those. And for any of these initiatives that your club decides to take forward, and for these committees that are forming, get them going on a high-performance leadership project. Get them to form a guidance committee. Get people those really tough-to-get educational credits. The entire club will benefit from anyone who is doing the high-performance leadership project within your team. And if Faye's got a note in there, minutes of the executive team should be sent out to the members. Oh, wait a minute. After the third speech of being mentored, what do you think of having a buddy system so members can support each other and do joint projects together? Ah, that's a good one. And I'm also going to touch on mentoring a little bit later in what we're covering. But yeah, that's an interesting idea. Here we are. Mentor program. It's not just for your 3 speeches. So in the manual, we get credit for guiding people through their first 3 speeches, or I think that's in one of the advanced credits as well. I think there's 2 places that you can get that. But you can really guide and mentor somebody through any process. If somebody wants to learn how to delegate and they're not doing a high-performance leadership project, you can ask them if they want you to mentor them through that process, and then you're watching them and they're touching base with you and you're giving them feedback. So there's all different kinds of ways that people can be mentored in your club, from the most advanced member to the greenest member. Find ways to implement a mentor program that works, that feeds everybody, so everyone is mentoring somebody at any given time. And that allows us all to gain greater leadership skills. And the drudgery police. You never want someone to feel that it is a burden to serve the club. It should be an honor and a privilege to serve the club. But it is work. When the work becomes drudgery, then it won't be done well. Then there's resentment and all kinds of craziness starts to go on in the background, and nobody wants to be part of that environment. So encourage delegation. I know somebody wants something done really well and they don't feel that anyone wants to do it and they take it on themselves. Encourage them to find elements of that project that can be done by other people, and then they just have to hang on to the core of that. The more they delegate, the lighter the load becomes and the more enjoyable it becomes, and then they can focus on what they want to focus on, what they do best, what utilizes their strengths and their interests. Vote members in and induct them. When there is a saying, you vote them in, you can vote them out. Well, that's kind of easy. You can still vote them out even if you haven't voted them in. But it does streamline the process and make people a little bit more aware that, hey, you know what? We all voted this person into the club. If this person should not have been voted into the club, if you knew something and you didn't step forward and warn the team, that's on your shoulders. When you induct them, it's a reminder to everybody of the Toastmasters promise. And you can have fun with it. It doesn't have to be all serious, and it doesn't have to frighten people. It is a commitment. It's a commitment to your learning. And I talked recently to one club. They are in a more laid-back region of our district. And somebody was scared away by the induction process. I wasn't there to see how formal it was made or anything like that. But I would challenge that club that, hey, if this person was scared of a little bit of commitment, how well are they going to do when your club needs help, when you expect them to actually do the work in between meetings and prepare for their speeches and prepare for their roles? You know, if they're not willing to do the work, are they going to be an asset to your team? So there's a way to keep it fun, but still get it done. Find that ground. I saw somebody do an induction where everything was framed as a wedding ceremony. So it's, do you promise to? And you know, so for so long as your membership dues shall be paid, and you know, things like that. You can jazz it up. You can have fun with it. And I see Carol Wallace. Is it true when you vote someone out that cannot attend any Toastmasters anywhere? No. Toastmasters would have to revoke that person's membership in Toastmasters. Does an induction mean that they have been voted in? Not necessarily. People can be inducted and the vote hadn't taken place. I'm encouraging you to do the voting process because that gives everybody an opportunity at one final chance to save the club from a very awkward situation. If they know something, they need to speak now or forever hold their peace. So it seems like a ridiculous formality, and you don't want the person to feel like, oh, maybe they won't be voted in. But if there's a reason for them not to be voted in, and I know a few of them, then that needs to be discussed as a team. So you have a responsibility to the members of your club to uphold what the team has chosen to uphold. I'm looking at the time, and this took a lot longer than I expected to, so I'm going to whip through these next few slides. Beware of these 3 club killers. And just like you would tell your children to run like heck when they meet a stranger that says certain things to them, you need to be aware of the dangers to your club and guard your club like crazy, just like you would your kids. So everybody wants meaningful work. When somebody comes into your club and they're very legalistic, you need to be curious about what's going on there. Not just let it go and think it's going to calm down. You need to address the person who gets very legalistic, or that long-term member who is getting very legalistic about absolutely everything and taking the purpose out of it, but trying to uphold little nitty-gritty details of rules. Somebody who is controlling, or you sense that they're taking a bit of a power trip, that is going to kill other people's autonomy, their right to be in control of how they do a role. You know, there's no set in stone way of how they need to do this role. If they decide to try something a little bit different, they need to feel free to do that and not be afraid. So anyone who's very controlling wants a position of leadership, not to help others and to serve others, but to be in control. That's a worry, and you need to guard your club against that. And manipulation. When somebody is in there and they're trying to manipulate things a certain way so they get what they want at the expense of others, they show that they do not care about others, and that is going to kill your club. Yeah. Okay, yes, I see Lisa's note that that you appreciate how I'm trying to respect the time, but rather not go over this part too quickly. So, yeah, if you want me to slow down, just let me know. I'm going to try to keep things moving, though. If you've got any questions, you can always ask me after. Oh, what's legalistic? Sorry, I missed that one. Legalistic is absolutely by the rules and by the letter rather than the flavor and the total purpose. So Toastmasters has a purpose. It's where leaders are made. It's where we gain greater communication and leadership skills. If people aren't growing, you've got to ask why. And if it's because somebody is nitpicky and it has to be just done this way, and they set themselves off as the authority over others and people are afraid, that's going to kill your club. It's going to make it a very difficult place to grow. So you want to stay within the boundaries of Toastmasters. You want to make sure that you're doing everything that the club charter is required to do. But beyond that, Toastmasters gives us a lot of leeway on how we perform the different roles. And your club may develop a certain way of doing things, but that's not the only way to do things. So just because somebody comes into the club and tries something different doesn't mean that they need to be nipped in the bud. So the idea is to be open and curious at all times. When you see conflict, breathe, step back, and be curious. We covered that in an earlier webinar, but it's very important here. Don't get hooked. So step back, take a deep breath, and think, oh, this is interesting. What's really going on here? Start asking questions and then clarify the answers until you really, truly understand. And that goes for the person who's causing the problems and the person that they're picking on who wants to do things different. So there's different reasons that people will come into your club. Sometimes they leave another club, and it's very easy. I've seen people go back and forth. When our club was losing members and the load got a little bit heavy, I saw somebody take off for greener pastures, and he said some very digging comments on his way out the door. And it's funny, now he's back. He wants to rejoin our club, and he has digging comments about the club that he left. But he wants to rejoin our club because he sees that we are on the upsweep and we're gaining members, we're gaining momentum. We're actually a thriving club now. Now he wants to be part of it and part of the team. So you do get those people that want to be on the winning team. Just be aware that that may happen as you start to grow. And guard your club against those three things that may come up from those members that like to be on that winning team and like to be in control and make themselves out to be the head honcho of that winning team. Groom your future leaders. Everybody who comes into your club has leadership potential. It's just showing up in different ways. But the key things that you want in a leader of your future club is true to the Kouzes and Posner leadership research, that everybody wants to follow someone who's honest, competent, forward-thinking, and inspiring. So find those members and suggest to them of stepping up into a leadership role. If they don't feel that they are competent enough to do it or they don't feel that they can, encourage them and say that there is a whole group here behind you to help you along the way. We're all here to learn. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you will learn way too much to give up this opportunity. And somebody who upholds the Toastmasters values, somebody who will respect, somebody who has integrity, somebody who's focused on service and excellence. They would make great leaders in the future. Find them, promote them, give them opportunities, groom them for the future. So the agenda for tonight was how to keep momentum. Oh, sorry. Oh, that ended up in 2 lines. Sorry. How to keep momentum. Share the load without squishing people. What do you do with newly empowered members who have very unique ideas of what happens next? Embrace the opportunity to learn. And then I had all of those points in there. But that's the key. Embrace the opportunity to learn. Exit interviews and other best practices. Be curious and do the right thing at all times. Beware of these three club killers: legalism, control, and manipulation. Nip those in the bud right away. Call those people out. Take them aside and work to educate them first. Be curious first. Find out what's behind it and then educate them. Try to bring them alongside, and if you can't, then it is your absolute obligation to guard the rest of the team against the damage that they can do. Make sure that you do the right thing. Groom your future leaders. Promote the honest, the competent, the forward-thinking, and the inspiring, and uphold the Toastmasters values. Rise. Respect, integrity, service, excellence. We covered all that, and we've gone a little bit over time. And I wanted to just make sure that I've answered. I only see one more comment here. We had a club with the treasurer absconded with all the club funds, $1,700, and almost shut the club down. Oh, the club is rebuilt, and the bad guy's membership has been revoked forever by Toastmasters International. That has happened more times than I would like to know, but I have heard of that on several occasions. And unfortunately, I've witnessed a situation where somebody went under the guise of forming a new club. I think started out with the intention to change his mind and took money from everybody, never gave it back. It happens, and you notice some funny things about those people. Pay attention to the warning signs. When people get controlling and secretive and suspicious, when they're suspicious of others, be suspicious of them, because why would they think that people are that way? Why would they assume people are that way? Chances are that they're that way themselves. All those things that you know in the workplace, all those things that you know from your personal relationships, they're true in any situation, including your club. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to call people out when they need calling out. They should not have free rein to hurt people. The club environment, you will get a lot of people that they don't know, they're there to learn, and they're vulnerable. Protect your vulnerable people. Yeah, the elephant in the room in our club defamed me by writing a long letter to hurt me with the executive. That's, yeah. You know, and when that happens, you've got choices. It hurts. It really does hurt, and it's like killing somebody. You're killing their reputation. But at the same time, you've got an opportunity. You've got an opportunity to take the high road if you're ever the victim. If you're in a leadership position, you're going to be the victim of something. And, you know, right now, I've got my head up there and people are trying to chop it off. So I know that I put myself in that position, and I have to forgive people because they're just human. They come with their own baggage, their own stuff going on. I need to take a step back, breathe, be curious, and I need to make sure that I'm always doing the right thing for the right reasons. So I need to manage myself, and hopefully enough people see that I'm trying to do the right thing for the right reasons, and they rally behind me, help guide me so I don't make any missteps, and you know, boost me up when somebody's trying to rip me apart. I love the parrot slide. Appreciate everyone is different and beautiful. Yeah. So you want to keep your club a thriving and growing environment. Understand there's going to be some attrition. Be careful about judging that. Don't assume. Be curious always, and you will keep the right people in your club, growing it, moving it forward. If it really truly is a time for somebody to move on, make sure that they do leave with a good impression of what Toastmasters is, and that they're willing to come back, maybe not to your club, but to a club that is going to serve them and take them through their next steps of their journey. That's everything I got for tonight. If you've got any other questions, feel free to ask them. We've gone over time. I want to honor you. When I end this meeting, it goes to a survey. So just if you could just hang on for a moment, I will end the meeting. You will go to that survey. If you can answer those couple quick questions, I will get the answers, and I always review them. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Thank you for being willing to make a difference in your club and whatever other club you decide to help. And I will see you next Thursday.